So Texas A&M remains one of the most perplexing college football teams in the nation. And it seems like every single week we're sitting here talking about how something went wrong for the Aggies and that now they need to seize the opportunity in front of them to try and recapture any positive momentum. But lo and behold, the next week comes and we're right back here talking about how the situation didn't get better. It may have gotten worse. And once again, that's exactly where we find ourselves. Because today we need to talk about not only Texas A&M taking a bad loss to Auburn, which we're going to break down, we also need to talk about a star player for Texas A&M being suspended for one of the most ridiculous reasons I've heard in a long time. Before we can jump into all of this, y'all know the drill. I've got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no, and this may sound extreme, but I think the question has got to be asked. Do you believe the decision makers at Texas A&M regret paying Jimbo Fisher the money they did in that contract extension, and do you believe they regret giving him that extension? I can't wait to hear from you. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions are massive, but having said all that, let's jump right in. And I actually want to start with the second point first, the suspended player. Because star wide receiver Moose Muhammad took to Twitter after the game to let everybody know that he was suspended from the game for wearing an arm sleeve. Now, this was interesting to me because in Moose Muhammad's Twitter profile, it's a picture of him playing in a game with an arm sleeve. So apparently they're allowed to wear them sometimes, not allowed to wear them other times, and only certain position groups are allowed to wear them. Basically, the reason I bring that to you is why have a rule when it's only enacted part-time? And furthermore, why are we pretending like this is the biggest issue facing Texas A&M? What this feels like to me is one of those situations where Jimbo knows what's being said by outside sources. Jimbo knows his control of this team is being questioned. And so his way to try and answer those questions is make it seem like he's a real stickler for the rules. Like he's someone that has all of his players towing a very strict line, but that veil has already been lifted. That doesn't work when the veil has been lifted to the degree it has at Texas A&M. You can't have players getting caught in an opposing locker room doing what they're doing and try and remain a stickler for the rules and try and make it seem like you have all of your players towing this very strict line. Those two ideologies don't exactly exist in the same realm of reality, in my opinion. So this is interesting because it makes absolutely no sense to suspend one of your star players for just simply wearing an arm sleeve. And to me, it shows that Jimbo Fisher is grasping at straws. And maybe I'm reading too much into that. And if you believe that, please, by all means, let me know down in the comments. And I'd be more than willing to have the conversation and maybe learn something that I previously didn't know that would maybe make me think maybe I am being hard on Jimbo. But with that being said, from the outside looking in, I think everybody can grant me at least this. It doesn't look good. When we look at the totality of circumstances, even if you're somebody sitting there saying, Ty, I think you're being too hard on Jimbo, even if that's your position, I think you can grant me at the very least that when we look at the totality of circumstances presented and look at the picture it has painted, it is not a pretty picture. I think everybody can at the very least agree on that. And I think we can further that argument when we actually look at what happened in the game. Because Jimbo Fisher's offense continues to be non-existent. This time they failed to even get 300 yards of total offense. They failed to get 250 yards of total offense. And remember, they weren't playing Georgia. They were playing Auburn, who Auburn ranked 77th in the nation in total defense. Auburn is a chaotic environment right now. We can talk about Texas A&M being a chaotic environment, but that's exactly what Auburn is. Jimbo Fisher had an opportunity this weekend against a team that was also chaotic, against a team that doesn't even have a head coach right now because they just fired Harsin, and they failed to capitalize on the opportunity. And it's become a pattern with Texas A&M, and the offensive stats are just perplexing. And guys, when we look at Texas A&M's offense, I've maintained this since day one of the season, that I thought if you could take away Aniyah Smith and A-Chain from A&M, they were going to have a really hard time gaining any sort of offense. Now, one thing we've learned since the beginning of the season, Evan Stewart is a dude. Moose Muhammad is a dude. You do have some guys in that wide receiver room. They're going to translate. You need to be excited about them. But the point remains, those two names I just gave you that I thought were the catalyst of the A&M offense at the beginning of the season, they have proved to be just that. And when both of them weren't to go in this game, we saw how much A&M struggled. Now, in fairness, you have in a true freshman quarterback. You have in a lot of true freshman players, and I get all of that, and all of that is fair. But at the same time, it's not just the on-the-field things that are leading to disappointment from Texas A&M fans. It would be much easier to stomach, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, if it was simply on-the-field things. Because then we could point to, well, yes, this is a very young team. But everything outside of the on-the-field is going great. They're bought in. They love it. There is a palpable excitement amongst the players here. It doesn't feel like that's the case. The on-the-field has left a lot to be desired, but the off-the-field has been an absolute chaos-ridden year for Texas A&M. And that's why we're here. This was a terrible loss to Auburn. I think we need to get one thing understood. Auburn did not have a vaunted defense coming into this. They were 77th in the nation in total defense, and Texas A&M couldn't get anything going. Texas A&M lost a game where Auburn's quarterback didn't even have 100 yards through the air, but they got dominated on the ground, which is perplexing when you look at all the 5-star defensive linemen they just signed, and they got straight up dominated in the ground game. I don't know what comes next for Texas A&M, but they've got a lot to figure out, and they've got to figure it out quickly. I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.